My own internship journey, many years ago, started when I was determined to get an internship in New York City, right after college. Back then, searching for an internship consisted of getting the Peterson's Guide to Internships, which was a printed book. Tony, you remember that? A printed book with about 400 internships in all disciplines, about 2 inches thick. That was how I searched for an internship. So I found a handful to apply to. I went to New York during a rainy, cold spring break, interviewed, got an internship, and it really set the course for my professional life from then on, so they can be tremendously impactful. I was part of a cohort program, kind of like the Internship Experience, and so I was able to learn about the city and my professional field with a group of other students, which made it fantastic. And I actually still keep in touch with a couple of those students to this day, 30 plus years later. I often tell students how much easier they have it than I had it back in the day. They have the internet, they have Google, they have online search engines, they have LinkedIn. Zoom interviews have taken the place of traveling to a city for an interview or those super awkward phone interviews. But really, a lot of aspects of internships are still pretty tough. They, just like back in the day, students have to stay motivated applying for dozens of internships. They have to interview, and no matter what the format, they can be anxiety-producing. They have to relocate for a summer, sometimes at great expense, to a totally new place. It can be disorienting. First-day jitters are a real thing, even for moving into a professional career. And then navigating workplace dynamics can be exhausting. So while some things have changed, a lot of things have stayed the same. I've stayed committed to the value of internships just because I know how incredibly impactful they can be. I've served on internship committees for professional associations. As a small business owner, I hosted interns many years ago, and now I have the pleasure of directing the Internship Experience program in outreach. And this program serves students across campus from dozens of different academic disciplines, moving into hundreds of different industries. I'm always impressed with the students and their attitude and their approach to moving into the professional world, stepping out of their comfort zone, starting down that path to a career. And it can be scary, exciting, challenging, and empowering all at the same time. So I'm really impressed by them. Sometimes they learn about career paths they didn't even know existed and decide that's for them. Sometimes they confirm that what they thought they wanted to do was exactly the right fit. And sometimes their dream job, they realize could be kind of a nightmare. But they're lucky to discover this in the 10 weeks of an internship rather than 10 years into their professional life. All the while they're learning about their academic discipline, they're learning about their industry, they're learning about themselves. It's really rewarding to be part of this process with them. But the Internship Experience exists through the work of many people. Bryce Biddy is the Internship Experience Coordinator, but he's much more than that. He's a teacher and a mentor and an outstanding career service professional. Hillary Golding is our Assistant Director of College Programs, and she manages recruitment and assessment, is our liaison to marketing. So she helps us get students into the program and then helps us measure the outcomes. Angela Burns is our program assistant. She manages much of our participant data, student enrollments, scholarship awards, and other important tasks that keep us efficient. Our outreach marketing team creates dynamic printed materials, engaging social media content, and helps get the word out to students, parents, faculty, and advisors. We are working more and more with different partners across campus to learn how to best serve different student needs. Among them is the Grove Scholars Program, which, thank you for being here today, which focuses on Mississippi residents focusing on STEM and health-related professions. Also the Department of Political Science, we're hosting a major specific internship workshop for them tomorrow to help them think about internship preparation and the search process in political science. We're connecting with departments that have internship requirements to see how we can help with their student success. We're also working with programs serving first-generation students, transfer students, and others to help those students be successful in internships and other summer professional experiences. So in conclusion, much thanks to you all for being here. You each played a critical role in a student's success in some aspect and helping them connect to their field of study through the professional experience is so important as we all help guide them from the classroom to career. So now I'm going to turn it over to Bryce Biddy.
Well, I would like to first recognize our program participants from this past year, all of their hard work, by just quickly reading out their name, and we will applaud them at the end. So here they are. Corbin Cadigan, Erica Cordero, Kathleen Gutierrez, Sujung Ham, Latoya Hicks, who is presenting for us today, Anthonysia Hoskins, Zion Lee, Marlene Lockridge, Madison Maroney, Aaron McNary, Olivia Reeves, who is also presenting, Kenneth Latumbin, Cameron Rios, Joseph Sharp, Elizabeth Smith, Nadia Sumler, Madison Taylor, Jacob Williams, and Mary Jo Wilson. Let's give our participants a round of applause. I'm incredibly proud of them and what they have accomplished this year. And the biggest reason why we've gathered today is to listen to a few of our participants' experiences, what they gained from their summer. So we will, without further ado, get that started. Our first presenter today is Latoya Hicks. She is from Ridgeland, Mississippi, and a film production major. So there will be time to ask Latoya about their experience after the presentation. So if you have any questions, hold till that period and we will allot some time. All right, Latoya, come on.
Hi everyone, I'm Latoya, as Mr. Biddy gave that great introduction. Again, I'm from Ridgeland, Mississippi, and I study film production, and I'm a senior here at the University of Mississippi. This summer, I got the amazing opportunity to intern at ECG Productions Executive Creative Group. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, and ECG is a full-service video production company, which means they do everything from writing and producing to shooting to post-production and animation. They create many different types of media, such as corporate videos, branded content, music videos, TV shows, and even feature films. With Atlanta being such a huge film hub, I figured this would be the perfect opportunity for me. Going into my junior year, I knew I wanted to intern. It became one of my top priorities as I was craving the opportunity to start working and to put what I learned in the classroom into action. Because film and video production is so hands-on and heavily reliant on skill, I wanted to get a few experiences under my belt. But I wasn't quite sure how to start this process. The Internship Experience program made interning more accessible to me. Here, they worked with me to perfect my resume and my cover letter. They also helped me to look for internships. I received some great recommendations from the faculty. Shout out to Brianna for giving me some great opportunities. After 3 months of applying to different positions through LinkedIn, Indeed, and company websites, I began to get a bit worried about securing an internship. With only 6 weeks left in the semester, one morning I decided it was time to start throwing my resume at different companies through emails, hoping that one would stick. I ended up emailing 18 companies before class that day. 4 responded, but within 3 minutes, ECG got back with me, and within an hour, they offered me an interview for their last remaining spot. After securing my internship with ECG, the Internship Experience program helped me with the logistics of moving to a new city, including budgeting and housing. Originally, I was set on living alone, but my bank account told me it was time to get more realistic. Because of IB's partnership with Georgia Tech, I was able to get housing on campus. I had everything I needed, including the kitchen, and it was only a 13-minute drive from work. Moving in, I was expecting this convenience, but what I wasn't expecting was that on one fateful night, a fire alarm would bring my roommates, our neighbors, and I closer together. Living in intern housing put me in proximity with other people in the same position of life as me. People who were just as eager to explore the new city. On weekends, we went to the Ponce City Market, Six Flags, the Coke Museum, new restaurants, and Barbenheimer. And on weekends, we just hung out in our living room to decompress from work. On a day-to-day, I attended a lot of production meetings. I got a chance to sit in writers' rooms and shotless meetings, and with Emily, the head of post-production for editing tips. While on set, my responsibilities would change depending on the day, but I mainly worked within the camera department. I started off working as an assistant camera. This included tasks such as building cameras, performing lens changes, pulling focus, swapping batteries, running the live stream, and operating the slate, the big clappers. Pretty much, I was there to help make the camera operator's life easier. Eventually, I got a chance to operate the camera myself for a few days. The cinematographer would tell me what they wanted, and I would try my best to make it happen. After working extensively with cameras, I became the cinematographer for the internship project, which meant I was in charge of what everything looked like on camera for a video we made to help ECG's social media presence. When I wasn't as busy, I would dedicate time to a documentary I'm working on for my capstone, my honors capstone. When I first got to ECG, I dove into pre-production, which included doing some research, reaching out to potential interviewees, and scheduling a time to meet and planning shoot days. At ECG, I was able to use their equipment and facilities to film, and at the end of my internship, I finished up with the production process. Interning has helped me increase my professionalism. I got an opportunity to watch professionals around me problem solve on the spot and anticipate potential problems before they arrive. Watching them helped me learn how to create a better work environment for those around me. I also learned how to communicate better. Being on set forced me to interact with others in a fast-paced environment. It helped me learn how to communicate in a way that's concise, respectful, and friendly. Although getting better at professionalism and communication has been extremely beneficial for me, I think the most important thing I've gained from this internship is confidence. Growing up not knowing many people with film-related jobs made me question if doing film was even possible. I also wasn't sure if what I had learned in school was enough to prepare me for work. Completing this internship has taught me that my professors may actually know what they're talking about and that I am more than capable of doing the work that I set out to do. Primarily only living in Mississippi, I wasn't sure if I would be able to live on my own in a big city. I love my two-lane roads, but Atlanta forced me to get comfortable real quick on the road. With my car still in one piece, I can say that I'm quite confident in my driving skills now. Going through this process with the Internship Experience program of searching for an internship, preparing to begin work, and completing an internship has made me more confident as I start the process for life after graduation. I'm now starting the job search process, which includes taking what I've done over the summer and including it into my application materials. Although this process may seem a little bit daunting, going through the Internship Experience program has made me feel better prepared for it. There are some pretty cool internships for film recent graduates that I'm applying for, but I hope to start my career at a small production company like ECG, where I can continue to build my skills in a wide range of areas, including cinematography, directing, and video editing. Because artists at smaller companies take on many different hats, I think this would be a perfect way for me to continue working in the many different aspects of film that I enjoy, rather than niche down to a specific department. While working at a production company, I plan to continue my journey as an independent filmmaker, helping others to create films and creating my own. I'm currently writing a feature-length film that I plan to direct after graduation, which explores generational trauma and motherhood. This was truly the best experience I've had in college, and my only regret is not doing it soon.
Thank you so much, Latoria. Okay, our next presenter is Olivia Reeves. She will talk about her experience this summer. She is studying integrated marketing and communications and is from Sulphur, Louisiana. As before, there will be time for questions after.
Thank you, Bryce, and again, everyone else for being here. Let's start. All right, so my internship is a little complicated to explain. So essentially, I applied to a program called IRTS, which is the International Radio and Television Service, and basically it's a nonprofit that is committed to improving diversity in the media industry. And basically every summer they run a 40-person program where they take all of these people and move them up to New York for the summer, place them at different media companies throughout the city, and also provide a lot of different networking and industry-related events that the cohort can go to. So I applied to this program thinking, you know what, why not? Like, let's see what happens. And I got an email back from the program director, and after an interview, I was like entered into the fellowship. And then later they placed me with Involved Media, which is a small paid media organization in New York City. Some of the other fellows also interviewed and then got positions at companies that you may have heard of, like Disney, Paramount, NBC. And right in this photo right here is me and the other 39 fellows. And as you can see, we're just very diverse, also very like passionate people. I feel like I've never met so many driven individuals, and I know that I've learned so much from them over the summer, and I'm really lucky to have been able to still be like in contact with a lot of them. We really did grow close over the summer, which is awesome. And then at Involved Media, I did digital planning, and I coordinated with a lot of the different teams, but I'll get into that later in the presentation. So as to why I interned, after taking one of my IMC courses about advertising and kind of like learning about how the industry and the agency works, I was very fascinated, and I was kind of set on, okay, I want some kind of like advertising agency experience before I graduate to see like if this is actually something I want to do. So it was always my goal to try to find some advertising experience, and then especially just in this industry, you know, experience in the actual role and having ownership over things is absolutely key. I was fortunate that like with my campus experience, you know, working with athletics and working on different social media accounts on campus, like at the Career Center, I was able to kind of bring a lot of skills to the table. But even then, knowing, you know, if I want to go into advertising, I really need to have some kind of agency experience on my belt. Additionally, it's always been a dream of mine to move to New York City. I feel like, you know, it's a classic, like small town girl goes to the big city, but there's just so much opportunity and so much vibrancy of life there, and it was really something I wanted to really immerse myself in for a summer. So how I found this internship was simply through a newsletter. I know we always laugh about, you know, students always deleting their emails, and like this is something I really like. Whenever I talk about this experience to people, it's like, check your emails. Read the little internship sections and the little newsletters that we all know that you end up throwing away. But genuinely, like, if I had just thrown that one away, I would have never learned about this program. And then IRTS, I think, also sent me an email to apply. And then that's me and some of the other fellows on the subway. Again, 40 people in New York City, we literally would take up a whole city block. Much to the locals' disdain. So what do I do at my internship? So again, Involved Media specializes in paid media advertising. For example, if you're on Instagram and you're just scrolling on your feed and all of a sudden you come across an ad that looks like, you know, a normal post, but like maybe it has a little banner on it that says like learn more or shop now. Like that's something I help create for some of our clients. So that's an example of one of the things that we do. I mainly supported the Colgate account, as well as like the different brands under it. Like I learned that Fabuloso apparently is owned by Colgate, as well as like Tom's of Maine, the like deodorant and toothpaste brand. So it's really cool to actually see like all of the different sub brands under it. But then I also supported the other like non-Colgate accounts like Black King Steakhouse and Kiko Mom, like the soy sauce. And then I really was able to learn just how an agency runs and, you know, processes like billing and pacing, which I was actually extended, and I'll add on to that more later, but I literally did pacing today. So it's really cool to actually like get into the nitty-gritty of, again, just how an agency runs. And I did a lot of cool things, including presenting my own media plan to the entire team. I was so nervous just because it was my first time presenting anything of like my own work to the team. And that really, I think, gave me a lot of confidence because I got a lot of compliments afterwards, but also it was nice just being, or having ownership of something and, actually being able to show my team like how much I learned over the summer. I also attended the 2023 TikTok High Conference with some of my coworkers, which was a blast. I think like going to a conference and being able to just like learn from actual like TikTok reps about new features and things was just such an incredible experience. And it really helped me bond too with my coworkers, which was really fun. I also got to attend our company's town hall, which was amazing. Our headquarters is a little bit outside of the city, so it was interesting seeing like the change in scenery and like trees for once on the bus ride there. And the company culture at Involved is just incredible. So it was literally like just taking a field trip. And then additionally, IRTS is super passionate about just making sure that we and like the other fellows are just enveloped in how the media industry runs. So we visited several companies like HBO, NBC, Spotify, Fox Network, you name it. And those were all just so interesting. And I think to say about an internship, like you learn so much in your classes, but I genuinely learned so much just from speaking to the employees at these, at the panels that they would host, or just talking to them one-on-one. It truly was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I think it was amazing to see the things I've learned like actually in practice, coming from these. And then how did this impact me? First, networking. Again, with IRTS, we were probably doing at least 2 networking type events a week, whether that was a company visit, whether that was encouraging us to go on our own and do informationals with people that we had spoken to or people that we were interested in meeting with, or even actual sit-down networking events with a meal or with a panel where we had to be a bit more formal. It really gave me a chance to dip my toes into a lot of these different events that I can expose myself, later on in my career, and giving me actually experience, how to navigate these different environments with different people, and because that definitely helped. I know, especially with Internship Experience, I know one of my favorite events was the etiquette dinner, and one of the events was like a newsmaker breakfast, so we were, with these really higher ups in the corporate world, in the media industry, and we were eating breakfast, and I kept remembering, okay, fork goes on this side, napkin on the lap, small bites, and that was one of just the many ways that the Internship Experience program really helped me throughout the summer for sure. Again, I saw elements of the media industry that you just don't get in class. Just being able to speak to so many people working at these companies, explaining what it's like, giving their contact information, just having these one-on-ones with them. It was incredible, and I can't even express truly just how much learning and just I guess how much I was able to just get my hands on. It was incredible. And then also, again, it showed me what it is actually like to work in advertising. One of my big goals was to experience agency life, and I learned that I really do love it. And also, how to navigate a corporate office setting, which is also very different, I think, than anything I'd ever experienced. And then what's next? So I still want to continue exploring advertising. I'm very grateful that after this experience I learned, okay, I was interested in advertising and now I realize I love it. What's funny is I actually did want to work more on the strategy side, but after doing media planning, I learned, okay, wait, maybe this is a new kind of outlet that I want to explore. And then I also really want to return to New York City after graduation. I initially was thinking, I'll probably enjoy it, but maybe it'll just be for a summer. But I think much to my parents' disdain, I really want to return. I fell in love with the city and just the energy and the culture. It was incredible. And after my summer, I was a little nervous because I was considering, asking about an extension, but I knew, since I was going to be a senior for one more year, the likelihood of it being able to happen, especially with how small the company is, I was just really on the fence of, even if it was worth it. But fortunately, I was able to be extended to the fall, and hopefully I'll be able to continue through the spring and then maybe through graduation as a full-time employee, but we'll see. But I would absolutely love, again, just for any opportunity, just to return back to New York and continue developing my experience in the advertising industry. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Wanted to open up the floor to see if anybody had any questions for either of our presenters about their experiences before we move forward. Any questions at all?
I just want to know if Al Roker knows how to tie.
Oh my god. I asked him, honestly. That was like the coolest, and it was my first full day in New York too, and we were able to go to a live taping of the Today Show, and like they all like walked up to us and like he's like giving people fist bumps like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then later that day we're just like scrolling on Instagram and like his post comes up and I was like, oh my gosh, and it's just me on his Instagram. So yeah, that's definitely a very memorable way to start the summer.
Any other questions? Great first one. Okay, yeah, so.
Did either of you know anyone else that was doing internship experience when you started the program, or were you going in just going in blind? Like, how was that?
I didn't really know anyone going into the program, but I had heard about the program before, just from like the advertising and stuff on campus, and so that's kind of how I got into it.
The advertising as well for me, and then I knew Cameron Rios before. I didn't know that she was doing the program, so whenever I got in the class and I saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then as for IRTS2, I knew no one doing the program, so it was kind of daunting for sure. But it was honestly, it was really a joy to be able to represent Ole Miss for sure.
Do you think any of the information you learned this summer, or can you talk about how it changes or influences how you show up for class now? And how you look at your academic coursework and maybe even your capstone in the honors college?
Yeah, I think for the classroom aspect, whenever I would go into my classes, I was like less confident because I didn't really think I was capable of doing the work. I felt like everyone around me knew more than I did. But like going through this experience and seeing just how much I did know and was capable of, it definitely changes how I show up in the classroom. I think I am more like, I'm trying to find the right word. Like just, I guess going into the classroom, I am definitely more confident.
I think that it was a really cool way of seeing how things I had learned actually applied. I know, like for me, hearing like about the media mix and things in class and actually seeing it being applied was great. And I think it just gives me, I guess, more confidence, like you were saying before, but also like more respect too of what we're actually learning and like how important it is. So yeah, just like I think just like a greater respect and I guess a different perspective on like how I can apply my learning. Not just like, okay, I'm learning this and I just need to like finish an assignment, but also, okay, this is actually foundational material that will actually help me whenever I'm doing my day-to-day work.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all. Let's give our presenters one more round of applause. So as we bring the afternoon to a close, I wanted to say a few words about the student internship, or the student journey to obtain an internship. So today we talked a lot about the end result. We've celebrated, getting to the end. But I am more interested in what brought me into this field is the journey itself. And I think it's also important to understand what it took, what students had to sacrifice, what they had to learn to get to this point in their burgeoning careers. So I want to bring us back to the fall of 2022, way back. It's almost a year ago at this point. It's wild to think about. Our program members were just beginning their internship experience in our first class, And the unique thing about our program is that it allows our staff to provide an individualized experience for each student. Some have no idea how to begin finding an internship. Some know exactly where they want to go, but don't know how to look for that opportunity or how to sell themselves. Some are incredibly prepared. They know exactly where they need to go, but they don't have the means or resources to get to that end on their own. And though each student begins in their own place, they all need to work on the same area first. So we work with them to create a firm foundation in internship searching by focusing on professional representation. Basically how companies view you, and how you can represent yourself. So students edited resumes, wrote cover letters, created LinkedIn accounts, and worked on interview skills. Basically any window that an employer could use to learn more about a student we focused on. Students gained the ability to represent themselves in all professional facets, but also learn more about themselves. They saw what professional gaps they had. They also learned what they wanted to improve upon, what kinds of opportunities would be best for them in the summer. We took that information at Christmas break, and the application process began. And at this point, I was kind of off to the races in the internship search. And if you ever search for a job, which all of us here have as well, it's just that moment where there's lists in front of you and you're just applying, right? But our students went out with their own firm foundation. We had to apply to a minimum of 20 internships, or basically apply until you get one. If you got one on the second try, hooray. But with that, the reason that we do that is because on average the response rate from these companies, whether you're applying to a job or an internship, is 20%. So you apply to 20 internships and you hear from 4. That's not all yeses either. Sometimes it's hey, we'll talk to you later, or sorry, we've moved on. That's just the response rate. So we want our students to be comfortable in putting themselves out there. And this is where I became the most proud of everybody that was in the program, because they heard no a lot. People were putting roadblocks in their way all the time. We learned perseverance as a group. I think that was really important for the students to understand that literally the worst that they can say is no. And yeah, that's not fun, but we can continue and we can move on from that, and we can keep putting ourselves out there. We can assess on, did I communicate properly with them? Or did my interview go well? Or did I follow up properly? And so we learned from that point. As we continued to learn from that point, as spring break rolled around, students slowly, one by one, were getting those internships. And I felt like that last part of our class semester, like every day somebody would walk in and say, a little shout, I got one. We're excited for them. But some of our students accepted offers in November. Some of them accepted them the week after class ended in May. Everyone was on their own journey. And we congratulated, we celebrated, we air-fived in class, super excited about all the opportunities that our students were going to go out and do it. Many took a deep sigh of relief. They kind of kicked back the first week because they were like, except for Olivia, was right. Kicked back, right? And they thought like the journey's over. Well, if okay, well the biggest part of the internship experience and what I like to preach as well is the now what aspect of your internship or job search. If you've heard me pitch this program before, you've heard me share the story of one of our former GAs, Mackenzie. She was a fantastic graduate assistant, wanted to get an internship in between her first and second year in our office, and did everything she was supposed to do, went out, had a great resume, had great cover letters, all this stuff, got an offer from a company in Boston in late April. Accepted it, everyone's all excited, great. So they say, we'll see you, like May 15th, right after classes in, we'll see you then, just come on, as soon as you can. So Mackenzie now had 2.5 weeks to figure it out. She's never been to Boston before, she's got to get there, she's got to pay for it, she's got to figure out where she's going to live, she's got to figure out how she's going to get from said place that she doesn't know where she's going to live to her new place of employment, what she's going to wear, does she have the right technology, does she have to, oh yeah, she's a student, she got to take finals. So she did it because she was awesome, but it was a whirlwind of 2.5 weeks. Then now what comes in that point? How can you spend your time in the summer or maximizing the few weeks that you have to make an impression on the company and to grow professionally. So this is when we challenge our students in the last part of our program to plan, to budget, to go throughout all these steps, to ask the questions that you need answered before you leave, so that you could walk in day one with a solid plan and understanding this is how I'm going to take my time and move forward. And they did. They presented their plans before they left. And each of them left with more confidence of, okay, I know how I can, like I said before, I can maximize my time. And that's, really what we want to impart is the now what on our students, so that they can take this. This was a practice run for them when they're doing their job searches, as they leave, to go on and just keep all they're doing. So I was really pleased with them. So we see the benefit of having an internship, as our students have presented. It's not just a few lines on the resume. It's not just a few extra dollars in your pocket. It's all of these things as well. Like this chart here, they're all the things that our students gain passively just by going through the program. All these skills that they worked on, some perfected, and they can all add these to their repertoire the next time that they put themselves out there. And they did it, the biggest thing too is our students did it while being full-time students, while having a full-time job. So I am most proud of them, for all of those achievements. So as we kind of conclude this afternoon, if you're a student that can benefit from this, if you know a student that can benefit from this, I will quickly shameless plug. Our application is due October 4th on our website. There's a ton of information available on our back table, some swag back there, where you can see more about what we do for our students. Most importantly, we want to encourage our students in our community, not only to gain professional experience, but to kickstart their growth as they go out into the community. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your afternoon to be here, out of your busy schedules. As we close, the IE staff, I guess myself, Laura, Hillary, Bree, maybe Kevin sometimes he helps out. Thank you. We'll be around to answer any questions that you have about the program. Our students, if they have time, will be able to answer more questions. They have class too. But we should be able to answer as many questions as possible. There are refreshments here as well, so feel free to enjoy. But have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again.